I hope you washed your ass, wiped your ass.
Oh, people do that?
You were saying something about feeling nostalgic or some shit about Zelda.
Just in general, not really Zelda per se. Why?
I was wondering what you meant.
Just in general.
It came out of nowhere.
Oh, because you probably couldn't hear it. But
I heard something Zelda.
Did you hear the music?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, after your video finished playing, some Zelda music started auto-playing on YouTube. I paused it like right away. I was like, oh no, this is gonna make me too nostalgic, man. It's gonna make me go back and turn on my my Nintendo 64.
You know what's funny?
What?
You know you hanging around with me too much, yo.
Why?
Your memory's starting to become on point and shit.
Oh, really? Think so?
What a small detail to remember, like 30 minutes later, and to be able to recount all of that shit.
The Zelda thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
I figured if I started listening to it, man, I was gonna be done, man. I wasn't gonna want to play anything new. Nothing.
You mean because of Tears of the Kingdom?
No, because I don't know, man. Like some of those older games, man, they just had like a magic feeling to them, man. You know, even like Breath of the Wild, as much as I love that game, still didn't have that same, you know, magical feeling. It did to a degree, but I think it has something to do with, you know, just certain things being introduced to you first. You know, you just never get over it. The first thing, it's like, you know.
I almost rammed into this bitch. They changed the physics up a little bit.
How so?
It feels really nice with the controller. That's how so.
I thought you were going to be done playing that game, man, as much as you guys talked about it, how much you didn't like it.
But during Gran Turismo?
Oh, I thought Dying Light. I thought that's what you were
No, Dying Light I checked because the update happened. Dying Light was a lot better, but the performance is suffering. They've been changing shit, like, yeah. Dying Light is an interesting case because they are still able to capture audiences, right? Because they keep patching the game. So now it feels really nice. Like beating up the zombies feels nice, and so is your movement. If your movement is not on point in the video game, yo, you can kiss that shit goodbye, as you already know with Gravity Rush. People probably didn't like it. I'm just the animation whore, so there's that.
Yeah.
The animations in the Gravity Rush is ridiculous.
They look awesome, man. I think Gravity Rush looks really cool, man.
Of course, I ain't gonna play it tonight. Gravity Rush 1 was nice too. I ain't gonna play it tonight because I want more time with the DLC of Burning Shores. How far did you get?
I'm still at this mission. I never started the mission. I think I forgot what I was doing. I think we were on the phone and I wasn't playing while we were talking on the phone. Because it's a story mission and I want to, you know, actually pay attention.
Ah, shit! Yeah, this game feels really good to come back to.
Yeah.
It's Gran Turismo, I mean.
Yeah, I know. They keep updating it, man. Didn't they just have 120 frames update not too long ago?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it does a pretty good job capturing it as Digital Foundry listed. The game does have frame rate dips in the base game. Son of a bitch.
It keeps getting better and better and better and better. Yo, games like Gran Turismo, man, are examples of like what I was talking about the other day, man. About how Sony delivered on the promise that delivered on what Microsoft promised.
They were saying like, what did they say? They said that basically people were pissed off about the frame rate. Not frame rate, the day and night cycles, yo. He was upset about that shit. Because they had it in Gran Turismo 5 and 6 and then they just removed it for sport. He was like, wait, what?
I wonder why. You know why?
The lighting engine.
Oh.
The lighting engine was realistic, so they couldn't cheat it.
Okay.
What they ended up doing, though, they cheated it for Gran Turismo 7, but they learned it from the other studios, how to do it.
Oh, like how to optimize and stuff.
Yeah, because what it's doing is they offline render 4 or like 6 times a day. And what they will do is they will fade it from one time a day to the other one. Just slowly, gradually changing little things. Like, okay, because they can't trace the lighting the way they want to. That's for sure, right? So they only do that 6 times offline, and then they'll bake it. And the game will morph into one bake state to the other. So it doesn't have to calculate all of the light rays. All it's doing is morphing from one bake. So just think about it like this, right? Right. All the light that's red is bouncing around, right? Once it's finished bouncing around, they capture it like a picture. And then the next state is blue, right? And they use all the bounce lights and capture it, right? So what the engine will do is fade it in between the red and blue. So at some points you'll get purple in the middle of the phase. And then it goes to blue. So it makes it look like it's changing, but it really isn't.
And they do that in 7?
They do that in 7. They do that in Horizon and a lot of open world games.
And you said that they render that offline?
They render the permanent states offline. You know, like games have bake lighting? They'll do like 6 states of bake lighting. Horizon, I believe, has like 10 or 12. I think it has 12 instead of the 6 that they had in Zero Dawn.
What does that even mean? Bake lighting?
Bake lighting is basically, you know, if a sun moves from one side to the other side to the other, and your shadows update in real time, well, that's a lot of work. So what they'll do is they will take as much time as they need to render all the lighting and shadows, and then they freeze everything in place. Like they take a picture of that state once it's done. So all the shadows will be fixed, all the lighting will be fixed.
And that's how they do that in Gran Turismo?
In any other open world game. You can't do it in real time. It's too hard.
So the lighting is all static then?
However many states they have is static. It's like 6 states of static light, but the engine will basically smear the states together so it won't have to do the work.
And it kind of makes it appear like it's actually
changing
time.
When it's just like fading into another. It's a technique that's hard to make it look like it's not doing that in real time.
Yeah.
But a lot of people have learned it. Gorilla being one of them.
That's interesting. What about like all of the God rays and stuff like that from the sun and all that? Because it looks like it's actively moving.
The sun is moving. God rays are not complicated. God rays are just light. They're lines coming from the light source. That's easy to do. But the actual lighting, having a light bounce around, that's hard to do. It's hard for me to describe to you because I know I'm losing you a little.
Well, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I guess it's the context around it, you know, in it. Because I don't really. It's like having a piece and a puzzle.
So, like, you know, when you look at a picture, the picture in its state within the picture is fixed. You can't change it.
Yeah.
So basically, think about like the front of your house, if somebody took a picture of it, right? One point in the morning, and then one point in the afternoon, and one point in the evening. Instead of them having to actually calculate all the lighting as the day is changing from afternoon, they'll just have those three states, and they will blend those three states together to make it look like it's going from day to night. Does that make any more sense?
Yeah, I get it. So all of the shadows and everything where the light is bouncing off or whatever, those are all fixed.
Like, shadows are faked. They're not really caused by, like, the sun being, or the light source blocking out the thing. It's basically an object. And in all video games, they're an object. You know? It is looking at where the sun is, or where the light source is. But then that's the only reason why it's doing that is to get the approximation of the size of the object, which is the shadow. It's not really blocking light out. It's an item being placed on top of it. And it's looking at what angle the light source is from to get how long the shadow is going to be and how dark it is. So when they talk about shadows, it's an illusion.
Yeah.
A lot of these little things are illusions because you can't do real-time ray tracing.
That's pretty cool, actually. So when they say ray trace shadows, that's what they mean.
The ray trace shadows is because light is blocking something, or something's blocking the light source. That is legitimate. Oh my gosh, come on, Josh.
And it's also calculating like all of the, like the thickness of the shadow and all of that kind of stuff based on the light source.
The distance of it and how the rays are scattered to make the shadow lighter or heavier light.
And it's all being calculated in real time.
Yep. You need millions of these things to get it right. Really, you need trillions, but you can't do that.
Yeah.
But millions will do. It's good enough. Reflections works completely different. It works like objects, basically, like I was describing before. So it's not quite like light bouncing off of a surface. Basically, it's recreating the environment using rays. So it'll draw a crude image of what it's reflecting based off of the rays that it gets.
Of whatever the object is.
So it's drawing the object again, essentially.
Like a rough version of it.
Yeah. But it's more accurate than screen space shadows, because screen space shadows is using whatever's on the screen and reversing it in the texture, but it's only pixels that it's reversing, and it needs the pixels on the screen to create that image. So if you don't have the pixels on the screen, it'll just have blank spots.
Like pixels on the screen to render the actual image.
Yeah, that's why when you have, for every game, there's cheats. Like they'll have cheats, right? Where this bounce of light, I'm sorry, the screen space reflections, where like you'll see it cut off on the corners because it doesn't have the information. Or when you look down and the building is not inside of the view, then the building disappears within the reflection as well. So it'll draw it via pixels. Like it basically flips the image. It doesn't draw the actual polygons, it just flips the image in a relatively accurate way. But the problem with that is if you don't have the image on the screen, it can't do it.
Yeah.
Ray tracing allows for, you know, it to not be in the screen, obviously, because the rays are calculating it off screen, which is why it's expensive.
Yeah.
It's expensive polygon-wise too, because it's redrawing the environment and the objects. That's why when you look at Spider-Man, Miles Morales, sometimes the reflections won't update in real time. It'll look choppy looking.
Yeah.
Because it's easier, like the slower you render something, right, the more time you have to render it. That's why when the computer system can't render it, it'll drop the frames to give it enough time to make it.
Yeah. So it won't break the illusion in the immersion.
Yeah, it just doesn't look fluid anymore. But it gets it done, it draws the image, but the illusion of motion is diminished. Now, there's another effect to keep the motion going, right? The image is created like blinds almost. So you'll get a section of the image and it will kind of like rain down within a second in like rectangular patterns or rectangular shapes. And each rectangle would try to update on time. If there's something within that rectangle that's slowing it down, it'll slow down.
And what is that effect called?
Screen tearing.
Oh.
Part of the image is slow, so
what? You said it was.
One part of the screen, right, will be stuck, and the other parts will still be going, making it look like the screen is tearing.
Okay.
Jack 2 and 3 had it on PS2. If you move too fast, it looked like the screen is ripping. But at least it'll still feel like it's in decent motion. It just has that ugly side effect.
And it's not all the time.
Yeah. So think about if you take your image, right, and you slice it in rectangular sections, and it goes down in sequence, you know, top, middle, bottom, top, middle, bottom, top, middle, bottom, top, middle, bottom, right? It's all timed perfectly. So your brain, you know, won't really, you know, have an issue, right? Picking it up because it does it so fast. If the middle is slow, then the middle will be frozen, appear to be frozen, and everything else will be moving, which looks like it's freezing. I mean, it's ripping.
So the analogy that you're using, the top and the bottom, is the frames.
It's part of the frame. It flips so fast that your brain completes the image. But it has to do it in sequence and in perfect timing. If the timing is off, then the brain won't know what to do with it, and it will break the illusion, showing you what it really looks like. But it's part of the sections. Let's say the middle section is frozen, and everything else already went. Ooh. So, for instance, right? If you have a picture of a t-shirt, right, that goes from top to bottom of your screen, right? And you're trying to move or pan the image, if the middle section is frozen, right, and the top and bottoms is moving, then it will look like the middle is torn. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, because you're actually articulating the camera.
What you say?
Because you're actually controlling and articulating the camera.
Right. It's because the middle section needs more time to render. So it just stays, it just stops until it's finished. And everything else didn't need the timing, so they just continue to go. This dude is spamming my fucking shit. All right, let me see what he says.
Have games ever crashed because of that? Issues
No.
like that?
No, it doesn't. It's designed. It's designed to do that.